worked in data engineering role. So I know a few bits and pieces of about these roles, and I also have some information on data scientist role because I have completed my post graduation in data science, and now I'm also pursuing my masters from LJMU London. That is part of a distance learning program. Uh, okay, so that is all about me. I'm born and brought up in a small town in Rajpura, which is maybe 25-30 minutes from Chandigarh for reference. So, okay, just give me a moment. So, let me know about you guys. I'm just launching a session. Sorry, launching a poll. So it will brief me about at what stage of career you currently are. I hope you are able to see the poll and you are able to vote. If you are facing any difficulties, just drop a note in the message window. Uh, Guys, I just see only 5 votes. I hope you are able to see the poll and vote. Okay. People who have not voted, I request you again to vote. There is a live poll which might be appearing on your screen. So this will help me to figure at what stage of career you currently are, and we can move the session accordingly.
Alternatively, if you're not able to find the poll, you can also put it in the chat so that Puneet can know more about you all. Puneet, I think we can you can probably share your screen, and
Okay.
we can get started with the second poll and the presentation.
Sure, sure. Give me a moment. Okay. I hope my screen is visible. So this session is going to be about the Power BI, where we'll be looking at how to do the data analysis right from the beginning, because I'm assuming a lot of you are freshers. So right from the beginning, how we can do sample analysis in Power BI, create visuals, do data modeling, and then ending up creating a report. Okay. About me, I have already described you guys, but this is for the reference. Right? So let me know about you guys. What is the current experience? What is your target company? What are your preparation status? You may drop a note in the message window. That will be helpful. So in the meantime, I'll keep on reading these notes. Or Dhruv can also brief me about the same. Yeah. Now coming to the agenda of this session. So as I said earlier, we'll be covering the introduction to Power BI right from the scratch, where we'll come across how even to download the Power BI and install it on your local machine. Then how to do the data modeling, building the visualization, creating the report. So all those basic concepts. Uh, Give me a moment. What I'll do is currently I'm working on a Mac. uh, I'll connect to my other system so that I'll be able to present my screen and brief you how to do all of these with Power BI.
In the meantime, everyone, if you have any questions or if you have any doubts, you can obviously put it in the chat so that later on Puneet can take all the questions one by one.
All right. Thank you for waiting. Let me just present my screen. Okay. First of all, I hope you are able to see my screen now. Dhruv, can you confirm?
Yes, Puneet, we can see your screen.
Okay. So if you go to the Power BI website, you will be able to see that this is a Microsoft tool first. And another thing about Power BI is that it is not available on Mac systems. So in order to connect your or download Power BI, you need to have a Windows machine. So I'll just go and type download Power BI. Okay. This page will give me information on how to download the Power BI. This is the language. We can click on download, and then it will ask for the exe setup file. So exe setup file will only work on Windows machine, not on Mac. So you can pick and choose what setup files you are interested in, and automatically it will download the latest version of Power BI. For the time being, I have a workaround where I am connected with my other system. I hope my screen is still visible. Just a minute. Okay. And I have downloaded the let me just download the exe file for you guys. Okay, so I can simply, this is a 64x machine, so I can simply go and download it. Okay, this may take time, but for you guys, I have already downloaded the file and I have set up the Power BI. So it's just like following the notes, whatever is popping up on your window, and clicking on install. There are just like any other application. So this is the first interface that you will come across as soon as you open up Power BI, and there are a lot of windows here. If you see on the left, there are few windows where it is saying reporting view. This is data view, and this is model view. And then this is where your data is going to appear. We'll talk about that in a while. Now, first of all, let's talk about what are the connectors available in Power BI. When I say connectors, connectors means uh, s- just a minute. When I say connectors, connector means that different source you can connect Power BI with different sources of data. So these are some sample sources of data where it involves Excel workbook, Power BI dataset. Even if you have created a dataset already in Power BI, you can connect with that and reuse that dataset. You can also connect with data flows, Dataverse, SQL Server, text CSV, web. Even when it says web, what it does is it scraps the data from web and then convert it into a tabular manner, and then we can do the analysis on the same. So if I click on more, you will find that there are more than probably 250 connectors available in Power BI from which you can source data. Give me a moment. Yeah, so these are all the connectors which are available in Power BI. So you can imagine one connector for any source of data that you are currently working in, be it Databricks, be it Salesforce. All the major source of data is covered within Power BI. That is where the advantage of Power BI comes in. All right. So I already have a data set available with me. Just a minute.
In the meantime, if anybody has any questions regarding the steps or facing any issues with any of the steps, you can put it in the chat.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So this is a very generic data set which I have downloaded. If you want to play around the data set, what I'll recommend is go on Kaggle website. I'll just drop in the link. Give me a moment. Mm, yeah. So you can go on Kaggle website. You can download any data set you are interested in. For example, I was interested in hospitals. So I just typed in hospital and you can get a lot of data set. You can filter out if it is a what format of data set you are interested in. If it is commercial, non-commercial, it comes with the license too. So that is about it. Let me just go back to uh, desktop connection. Yeah. So if I open up this data set, it might take some time. Yeah. So if I open up this data set, you'll be able to see a lot of columns. Apologies, I don't have premium for Excel. So, okay. Uh, Including provider ID, hospital name, address, city, state. But all of this we can view in Power BI again. So that is not the point. But one interesting thing to mention here is Power BI is a uh, upgrade from Excel. All the things which you are currently doing in Excel, you can do in it in the Power BI as well. If you go to data tab, and this option is disabled for me, but this option in particular is exactly the same what we see in Power BI, right? When I click on get data. So there is a lot of similarity between Excel and Power BI. That is because gradually after improving Excel, they have decided that Microsoft decided that they need a reporting tool, and that is where they build Power BI as a separate tool where you can do a lot more manipulation as compared to Excel uh, in this tool and create reports out of it. Okay, so that is the starting point. Um, Apart from this, let me see if I'm missing anything. Just a minute. Just in the meantime, Dhruv, can you brief me if there are any questions or anything?
Yes, Puneet. So there are three questions. So Vijay Singh Negi has asked how to get entry level job in data visualization from non IT domain.
Data visualization from non-IT domain. Uh, okay. When you say non-IT domain, do you mean that you are currently your bachelor's is not in computer science, or do you mean that you are already a working professional and now you want to switch? In case you are working I mean your bachelor is not in data computer science, in that particular case it's very easy to get a job. They just make sure that you need to have a bachelor degree in computer science. Sorry, not in computer science. They just make sure that you need to have a bachelor degree irrespective of any field, be it computer science, be it mechanical, be it civil. So that is the criteria. But having said that, there are a lot of companies who don't even look at what is the bachelor degree that you currently have. So you can directly go and apply on those companies. In that case, I'm targeting BCA, MCA, whatever your field of study is. All of these can also switch into data science. In case you feel that you are very limited with the options because of your bachelor's degree, in that case most people do is they pursue masters, uh, an year program or a 2-year program, specifically in data science. Once they get degree in data science, then the switch becomes a lot more easier. So those are two pathways. And if you are work if you are a working professional, and again you don't have degree in data science, but you have the experience, maybe while as part of the work you came across few instances where you are doing data analysis and so on, you can mention that in a resume. Definitely that helps, and it increases your chances to convert uh, your profession into data science. I hope I answered this question. Let me know, Dhruv, if there are any other questions. I'll be happy to answer.
Perfect, perfect. So Shiva Prasad has asked
Mhm.
from where I have to begin if I want to start data science.
Shiv Prasad, I need to know your current status, that what have you completed so far. So for this I recommend that if you can book a one-on-one trial session with me. This will be a free trial session. You can block 30 minutes of your time with me, and there I'll be able to understand more about what stage of career you are currently at, and I'll be able to guide you that how we need to move forward. I hope that helps.
Okay, great.
Okay.
Then Anushka has asked, how can I switch in data analyst domain from a non-tech domain?
Data analytics domain from a not tech domain. Just a minute. Give me a moment. So if you want to switch to data analytics domain, again, These kind of questions which are specific to individual, I highly recommend that if you can book a one-on-one trial session with me, I'll be able to get to know more about you, and then I'll be able to place my answers in a better way. But a generic answer will be that if you want to switch from uh, to data science domain, get your projects right, get started with your practical projects, introduce those projects in your resume. uh, I highly recommend to have complex projects with big data sources, so that once you face challenges, that will be somewhat similar to what industry is facing, right? If you can get that, that way you can get started with data science, or at least increase your chances to get started with data science.
Yeah. So Puneet, I have shared the profile link as well in the
Mhm,
chat, so
mhm.
anyone can book the trial session via Puneet's profile.
Great, great.
Yeah. And one last question from Avinash. He has asked, please show web scraping using Power BI.
Mhm.
So yeah.
So, Avinash, this session will be specifically with respect to scratching the surface, how to use Power BI. Web scraping becomes an advanced part of Power BI itself. So I can show you a bit and pieces of how it works, but this session will not only focus on web scraping; it will mostly be focused on Power BI. Okay. Now continuing with the session, what are the benefits of using Power BI altogether? So, if you talk about the benefits, it's mostly with respect to generating insights. And Power BI is just like any other tool, like Tableau, right? Which is one happen to be one of the industry leaders. Now, the advantage with Power BI is that unlike Tableau, which has a specific pricing structure, where most of the big corporates are able to invest, Power BI offers you the flexibility of having a subscription for 1 month, having a subscription for the time you are using. So these type of complexity puts Power BI at a soft spot where even mid-tier companies are able to access and generate insights from it. So this is one of the widely acceptable tools. And what are the key component in Power BI? So this screen, what we just saw, this particular tool, this is Power BI desktop. Okay. Uh, Similar to that, we have others too. So if you go and register on this particular link, app.powerbi.com, uh, after you have opened up this link, you will be able to see workspace session. So that particular thing will be called as Power BI service. So service is nothing but a cloud computing area where you can publish your reports in cloud, and instead of your reports getting processed on your local machine, it will make use of AWS connections to process the data. So what that means is, if on local your report is taking, let's say, 1 hour to refresh, on using the Azure connection, it might take only 5, 6, 7 minutes. So that is the big difference between Power BI desktop and Power BI service. Having said that, the starting point for us is Power BI desktop itself. You will create the report in Power BI desktop, then you will publish the report in Power BI service, so that different report users will be able to access your report using the Power BI service, and they'll be able to see the end result of what you have created, whatever insights you have put into any report. And you can also access these reports not only using web. If you are a end user, you can also access this report using Power BI mobile application. I hope I'm clear. If you have any questions, just keep on posting it. In between, I'll keep asking through about the questions, and we'll be able to answer. Now, getting started with Power BI Desktop, I have already briefed you about downloading and how to install the Power BI Desktop. Now we'll look at the overview of the desktop interface and loading the data, and then we'll move to transforming session. So Power BI is divided into three windows, actually four windows. These are the three windows which you are able to see here: report view, data view, and model view. So if I go and click on get data, our current data source is Excel workbook. Uh, just a minute. So now Power BI is sourcing the file into uh, the Power BI desktop application. Now it's giving me different options, right? If I'm able to see the table correctly. This is a CSV file, so Power BI already understood that what type of file it is, and it has given me information in a tabular format, just like you would have expected in Excel. Now there are two options. One is to load, other one is to transform data. So let me just go ahead and click on transform data. This is the fourth window I was talking about, apart from reporting view, data view, and the modeling view. So now we'll go to transform data option. Okay. So this, in this particular window, you can do any manipulation with data. Let me just show you. Uh, okay. So I'm able to see the source. The on the right hand side, I'm able to see the steps. What transformation have already happened to a particular file. So I'm able to see the source. If I click on source, it is saying me that you have sourced this file from this particular location at your Windows computer. Now then it automatically promoted header because it understood it's a CSV file. So first line of the row will be will be your headers, and then it accordingly change the data type of these columns. The provider ID is now of type integer, hospital name is of type text, and so on. So Power BI is a smart tool. It already understands bits and pieces of every data source, and it will manipulate the data accordingly. Now what we can do with this data, before jumping into that, let's understand what is the data itself. So I'm able to see the hospital name. A unique provider ID for each of the hospital name is what I'm expecting, and the address, the city, the state, zip code, county name, and phone number, right? So I'm assuming phone number might not be a helpful field. I can remove that, but for the time being, we can keep it as it. uh, then we have hospital type, and what this data overall is telling us, what is the rating of the hospital. If you see this column, this is very important, I feel, that what is the rating of the hospital, meet the criteria of meaningful use, and mortality, national compensation. So it is a categorical column where it is divided into, if I click on, you just a minute. Okay, so this is a category column where it is divided into these fields: above national average, below national average, not available, same as national average. Okay, so this list is incomplete because what sample Power BI provides is basis on the first 1,000 records. So might be the case that our Excel file is overflowing more than 1,000 records. So that is where it is saying list may be incomplete. You can load more. In that case, it will analyze all the columns. So if I click on load more, I'm able to see all the categories. Okay. So I'm able to see mortality, national compensation, footnote, and so on. These are all, I'm assuming, categorical columns. So which we can come to in the later half of the where we'll be building the visualizations, right? Uh, so in here, what all operations we can do, that is the point. So for example, I am having name, address, city, state, zip code. So if I click and select all of them, I can do pivot and pivot options are available. I can also delete a few column, or I can create a reference of this table also. The reference means the source of the data is in here. The source is available here. However, your reference table is just pointing to this particular source of information. So any manipulation you do here on, let's say if I remove provider ID or address or city, any of the field, no change will happen on this particular table. Just that you have one duplicated table, which you can reuse in your report. So one way to go about it is, what I can do, I can keep the hospital name ID. Okay, hospital names, city, state, and everything, uh, ownership. Yeah. And when it comes to hospital attributes, the type of service and those category columns which we were talking about, I can go and remove these values, remove columns. And I can name this table as hospital information. Just a minute. Okay, I can rename this column, and this is now my hospital information. Now, because we have already selected the this information in our other table, including the provider ID, so we can remove all these columns except provider ID, because in the end we need to connect these two tables. Except provider ID, I'm removing all the hospital information related columns, including phone number, and we can name it as hospital attributes. Okay, so this is one way to go about things. Just a minute. Hospital type is also included. Sorry. Yeah, let me take another reference for it. Yes. And in the attributes, I'm going to remove till hospital type ownership. So remove columns. Okay, and this is the hospital attribute table. And other thing which you can do is you can disable the load of your query itself, if you want to, but for the time being we need this option enabled so that it can refresh the data every time it is available. So now we have these three information, where general information includes all the attributes, including the hospital related information, and hospital attributes itself contain only the attribute related information according with along with the uh, ID. And these are all the window above which you see. These are all the manipulations you can do with this query, including merge queries, append queries. If you want to do a left join, group by, and even you can go and click on advanced editor. This will give you a complete control over the M query, and you can add any of your M query here and manipulates the result. And then if you click on transform, again you will be able to see all the options where you can manipulate the data. Now it comes to when if you want to add a column, you can add a column, custom column, invoke conditional column, so on. So these are all manipulations. We won't be discussing in detail about it because it will take more time, more than an hour to explain about them. But this is a generic overview of how things are flowing in Power BI. Dhruv, do we have any question in the meantime?
Yes, we have a couple of questions. So let's start first. So Madhvi is asking, what is the difference between reference and duplicate table?
Correct. So, Madhvi, if I'm creating a reference table, what it does is it still points to my earlier source of data, that is hospital general information. However, if I create and go and create on duplicate, right, you'll be able to see it is having its own source, its own data manipulation. That means we are sourcing that file second time. We are again hitting the database or the Excel file. However, if you are looking at hospital information, the source itself is the query, hospital general information query, right? So that is the difference between duplicate and reference.
Okay. Then, so Neha has asked, she wants to know how to start a project side by side when it comes to highlighting the profile, because a lot of big data are available. How can we identify the authenticity for the same?
So to start the project side by side, in order to include that in your profile, I highly recommend that there are a lot of sources of data available. Even America's data is available, their government data is available, even India government data is also available. If you talk about agriculture, health, you can find all of them over the web. Now when it comes to how to proceed with the project side by side, given you have a limited information on Power BI or any other reporting tool for sake, then how do you go about the project? That is where we kick in, where we will be providing you a one-on-one long-term mentorship session, where we will be guiding you that this is the project that you should be picking up, or we will be helping you with that. even if you can pick your project with your interest. And then we'll be guiding you that, if you're stuck somewhere, it's a big data, that how to proceed further, we'll be guiding you with that altogether. What I highly recommend is not to just go about and book a long term session, which won't be fruitful if I'm not understanding what you are looking at exactly. Book a one-on-one free trial session where I'll be connecting with you on over a 30 minutes of call, and I'll be, clearing up your doubts. So that is what I highly recommend, because in this particular session, if we go and take questions of all the individuals, uh, with their personal preferences, what at what stage of career they are and what they wanted to do, we won't be able to do that. Right. So go ahead and book a one-on-one trial session. I'll be looking at your profiles, and I'll be suggesting you the workarounds. Even if it is help with the resume, we'll be helping with you with that. Along with that, we'll be also providing you some references, using which you'll be able to, you know achieve your career goals.
Okay, great. Also, Madhvi and Rajat both have asked how to do projects in Power BI.
Projects in Power BI. So that's simple. You figure out a data set. Data set sources, again I'm repeating myself, it can be any data source. There are big library of data source available on web. Okay, but make sure to choose a complex data set. For example, there was during this COVID time, I worked on a report that was my side project, where I was looking at refugee data. This happened during when Russia invaded Ukraine. So I was looking at refugee data. There is UNHCR website which tracks information about refugee. This doesn't provide you any pinpoint, at this particular time, how many refugees from this particular country travel to that particular country. It doesn't give you about that, but it gives you raw data about, everything. uh, you go to that website, you can request the data about anything. It gives you raw data about all the migrations which have happened over the time, even the Palestine migration which have happened over the time. So you can download such data that found to be a complex data set itself to deal with, and then we prepared a report, where the end user can pick and choose that from this country to this particular country, what number of migrations happen in what all years. It will be able to give you the timeline. Moreover, it the overview of the report itself, it was able to give you information on uh, what which particular country receives most number of refugees over the time. That is where America leads in. You will find a lot of refugees have traveled from Africa to America specifically. So I hope this answers your questions, but we'll be helping you to, guide you how to go about a project. So feel free to book one-on-one trial session.
Yeah, so that's it, Puneet. No other questions.
So we created two reference queries. Our data source remains same, and the reason behind it is we can definitely, uh, you know, uh, do all the manipulations using this particular file, but it won't give you any idea about, the kind of relationships structures we have in Power BI, or how to create relationship structures altogether. That is the reason I split this file particularly into two different reference queries, although they are pointing to same data set. So once you're done with all your manipulation, all your transformation, whatever you are interested in, right? You go to home and you can click on close and apply. Okay. Now there are three options altogether. If you click on close, it will discard all the changes. It will give you an option to discard all the changes. If you click on apply, it will automatically apply the changes, and it won't close the window. Give me a moment. Yeah, sorry. So it won't close the window altogether, but it will apply the changes. Now we want to go back to our earlier window where we were, looking at reporting view, data view, and the modeling view. That is why we are clicking on close and apply option. So it brings us back to the earlier view, and it is applying the changes where it is loading the data from. Now, irrespective of if it is a reference query or anything, or a duplicate query, what we created earlier, Power BI will now treat these three different queries as a separate queries. They are not at all linked together. right? Okay, so what we can do is, okay, we'll now first go to model view. Model view is where you create relationships between the queries, where you can set the uh, specific attributes of a column. For example, if a column is of type integer, you can set default summarization to sum. Let me just show you. Uh, we had some integer related field was available, right? Okay, let's take provider ID. This is a whole number. Uh, Although we can, in the advanced option, you can click on summarize by, it is set to none. You can by default select it to maybe some minimum, maximum, whatever. But for our understanding, we know this is a unique key for the table, so we won't be summarizing it at all. So this is the manipulation that you can work on. And let's say you have now feel that there is another source of data you need to source. Again, you can click on get data. You can source the data and create the relationship. And now Power BI is very smart. It already, if I show you it in a window, it already had created relationships on its own. The lines which you see, those are relationships. I hope you guys are able to see clearly. Uh, so these are relationships. So if I double click on it, it says that from the hospital attributes, it has taken provider ID, and hospital general information, it has again taken provider ID. And this was one-to-one relationship, which Power BI automatically figured out. Although there are some other options, many to one, one to many, and many to many relationships. Okay, and this is cross directional filtered. What does cross directional filtered mean? So that means from the hospital general information, you'll be able to filter hospital attributes, and from the hospital attributes information, you'll be able to filter hospital general information. Um, uh, to be precise, if I say select any city, say I select Karnataka here. So all the records which are related to Karnataka in my other table, in my hospital attribute table, will be filtered out. Similar to that, if I'm selecting, let's say, hospital overall rating here. So all the attributes, let's say I selected 4 rating. So all the records which are having 4 ratings will be filtered out here. So it works both way when it comes. And the cross directional functionality is shown denoted by this particular sign, where you have both arrows. Let me just go and add, instead of both, I'll select to single, right? Sorry, one to one will always be single. Let's change it to many to one, just for the sake of understanding, right? So now you are able to see that this is one directional filtered. That means hospital general information will be able to filter hospital information. However, if you are selecting any city here, let's say again, let's talk about state. I selected Karnataka here. I won't be able to filter out this particular table. So that is the whole concept. But for the time being, these relationships will not help us, because we won't be making use of hospital general information query. So I am deleting these relationships. Okay, you can keep it aside, and now you can create a new relationship. Um, this was with the provider ID, right? Yeah, provider ID. So I just click and drag provider ID on top of the other view provider ID, and it will create a relationship one to one. The other way of creating a relationship is click on manage relationships here. You can pick and select, sorry, you can click on new, or you can click on auto detect. Just like before it was created, it will automatically detect what relationships are there, and it will create those relationships. However, we are not interested in that option. We'll click on new. This is where we can pick and select the tables. We can choose the column we are interested in, and the other table, the target table which we are interested in, and the column. Again, we can assign the cardinality. So these are two ways of creating the relationships. I hope this is clear. So once you are able to create these relationships, the other thing which you need to know is, this is very generic information on how to create relationships. There are different type of schemas which developers follow: star schema or snowflake schema while creating relationships. So if you have, imagine you have 40, 50 different tables. So how you go on and arrange those tables in such a way that you are able to get insights about a particular use case. So that is where star schema and snowflake schema takes place. uh, to give you a very brief idea about it is that you connect, if it is a star schema, you have a uh, major table in between, and that is connected with all the category columns around. And this in the snowflake schema is just an extension to the star schema, where you have star schema all to connected together, different star schemas connected together. That is snowflake schema. So this is just an overview. Once you are able to create a relationship, then we go to data view, just to look to see and look how the data is looking like. For example, I can click on attributes. I can filter that whatever column I'm interested in, and I'll be able to see the values. So let's see hospital overall rating. So I'm able to see that hospital rating might not be available at all, right? And meets criteria for a meaningful use of EHR. I'll be able to see the value in it. So this is just to look around the data, and if you feel that a particular column, for example this column, I feel is not in correct data type, it is showing to be of type text and I want to convert it, I can simply click on it and I'll be able to convert the data type of it. So that is the whole idea about it. Now I can go on reporting view. Okay, and I'll be able to see these three tables where we are able to see information. The next part of this session is, I have covered transforming and cleaning the data in Power Query Editor, loading data, and now it comes to data modeling. Data modeling is where we went to data view and we created relationships, where we were talking about star and snowflake schemas, understanding the tables and relationships, creating relationship, introduction to DAX. So yeah, this is the point which we should be looking at. For example, if you want to create a calculation that for example, I want to create a new column or a new measure. So these are two type of calculations which Power BI offers. So I can simply go and click on new column. Okay, where I can manipulate the data. For example, state updated. So I can add all the if else conditions, whatever you see in Excel. I can all add all these conditions here. And having said that, DAX is very much more powerful than Excel query editor, which we make use of. You can not only assign if else statements, but also you can create a sub table out of a table and then do manipulation on top of it. So we can discuss more about DAX in detail maybe in our upcoming session, but if we keep on discussing DAX in this particular session, this will overflow again. So this is column, right? If I create and click on create new column, this will create a column. However, if I go and create and click on new measure, this will be a calculation. This can be maybe sum of all the city or count of all the city. Maybe a simple calculation will be number of cities, where I can click on distinct count and I can pass the column name. Okay, and that is part of hospital information, right? So this is a simple calculation throughout the table, right? So if I click on this now, I'll be able to see that how many cities are there. So if we click on this and we add the visual, we'll be able to see the visualization pane which has been expanded. There are different type of visuals available. So this is a clustered column chart. This is not what we are interested in right now. We are interested in a KPI chart. So the KPI is this one. So I'm able to see that there are 2947 distinct cities in our data set, right? So uh, along with that, let's move to a specific visual altogether. Let's say not this one. Yeah, I pulled in a visual from this. You can simply select the visual and you will see the data below the x-axis, y-axis, legends, small multiples, all manipulates according to the visual you have selected. Let's say we would have selected the pie chart. These values will manipulate. Similarly, if I would have selected the KPI chart, these axes will manipulate because KPI only accept one type of field. Now, stacked column chart, it accepts multiple type of field, right? Let's say for just a minute. Let's say for the each hospital type, we want to see the count of providers. So I'm able to see, let me just pop it up in a full view. So I'm able to see for each hospital type, acute care hospitals, we have around 3369 number. Whereas for critical access hospitals, we have 1344 number. Dhruv, I know we are running out of time, but do we have any questions in the meantime?
No, Puneet, we do not have any.
Okay.
We can continue. Yeah.
Okay, so using this, you can create multiple visuals. Now I just pulled in two fields. I can also add legend small multiples. Legends will be like, for example, it will divide our current visual into multiple subsets. For example, we have selected a city. So within this, we were earlier saying we were having 3369 number. But if you look at the city of Albany, it has only six number, right? So this is the use of legend. And having said that, let's just keep on creating a sample dashboard using different type of visuals around, and then we'll be able to get more information on about it. This is hospital information, and I see that all this information will be part of my slicers. You can pick and work around on slicers. I can, sorry, just a minute. Oh, you can convert it into a drop down. Now, if I click on drop down, I'll be able to see. By the way, this is the slicer setting. Earlier, we were on this view. If I pick and select any visual, I click on format your visual. I'll be able to see the slicer settings here, right? And this is where you can manipulate any of the visual. Okay, slicer header is on, which is good, and yeah, remaining properties seems to be good. And from here, uh, you can enable the search as well. So if I am able to search, let's say AK, it will only filter out AK. So that is the whole idea. This is one of the slicers. You can also do the formatting in terms of the look and feel of the slicer altogether, how headers are looking, but that is a different part we won't be covering in this particular topic. Then you can copy and paste the visual itself, and you can change the columns altogether. Now I'm interested in county name, right? I can, it will be showing me counting names. Similarly, now I'm interested in I want user to filter out by hospital names also. So this is where they'll be able to search the hospital names altogether. Then it comes to, I want user to filter by hospital type also. Okay, I think those filters should be enough. So we are able to see state, county name, hospital name, hospital type. Then it comes to attributes. So very sample report will be to all pull all these values in a table and then show it, but that is where we can also do it with the Excel, right? Then why we are making use of Power BI altogether. So instead of that, What we will be doing is we'll be creating a sample visual. Uh, let's just keep it like this. Um, I see hospital overall rating was a good point to start with, right? Let's see what data is in table. I'm able to see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 ratings, right? Let's use it in this particular format, and we can also filter out the data which we are looking at in the report. So if you expand the filter section, click on the drop down. I'm not interested in not available ratings, right? So I'll just deselect this and select all of them, all of the remaining. Okay, this is the hospital overall rating, and let's just pull in hospital type 2. People might be interested in hospital type. Okay, and we'll make use of count of providers. Okay, now this particular information will be very interesting. Give me a moment. Dhruv, is there any disturbance from my side?
No, Puneet, there's no
Okay,
disturbance.
perfect. So if now this particular information is very interesting, obviously you can manipulate the headers, footers, everything. You can manipulate the title altogether, right? But for the sake of the session, what we'll be focusing on the data which we are currently looking at. If you have observed, I selected two things here: hospital overall rating and hospital type. Now what I can do is I can drill down. Currently it is at hospital uh, overall rating categorized with the hospital type, and I can also pick and select what I want to view. So if I drill up, now it is only filtering by hospital overall rating. If I drill down to this, it will only show by hospital type. So it will give a flexibility to the user that how you want to see the data, right? Now let's say I'm not interested in any other state. I am only interested in one particular state. I can filter my data accordingly. For this particular state, I'm able to see the results, and within this particular state, I'm only interested in one hospital type, right? That is for children's. Let's go to the view above. Sorry, for this particular hospital type, we don't have any information in this particular state, I'm saying. However, for another type, we do have information. Similarly, for the acute care, we don't need to pick and select this filter because this visual overall is doing the same job. Acute care hospital and critical access hospital, right? And let's say I'm interested in a few of them. What I can do is I can control click as many hospitals I am interested in, right? So this type of view will, this is a very high level understanding of what we are achieving, but this type of view gives you an overall summary of what is happening within your data set. Maybe in next couple of session we'll dive deeper in terms of what are all the sources of data you can source data in. And I assume there was a query regarding web scraping from Arun or someone, right? Arun, you can book a one-on-one trial session with me, and there I'll be able to brief you about the web scraping as well, as we are running out of time for this session, right? I hope this particular session gave you a brief understanding on how we are making use of Power BI as a tool. And once we are done with all these manipulation and we ended up creating a report, we can always go and publish this report into our web, right? But for the time being, we don't have Power BI cloud access. So once you save your report, it will just show you that where you want to publish your report to. That will be all. And now it is asking me to log in so that it can get information on what workspaces I have available currently. Uh, okay, let's move to this. So we completed the data modeling section, building the visual section, creating the report section. So now it comes to the process of mentorship, right? Uh, Just a minute. Okay. Now it comes to mentorship session. So how it will work is you book a trial session, maybe for 15-30 minutes with me, where I can help you understand your queries, what you want to do in your domain. If you want to switch from your domain, if you're a fresher, you want to join and work in data science. So I'll be understanding all those queries and I'll be able to guide you with that. Apart from that, we'll be, if you are interested, then we'll be focusing on long term mentorship, where I'll be your point of contact for another 2 months, where you can book a time with me on weekly basis, maybe 2 or 3 times a week, and I'll be able to guide you with your projects, help you building your resume, and overall transition you from your existing career to data science, if that is the case. Otherwise, if you are a fresher, then again we'll be able to get you into data science. That is the complete program which we are offering. And post this transition, we what we are targeting is, we are targeting your job, that you should be able to transition, or maybe if you are interested in any FANG company, will be able to provide you references. So that is our complete setup which we are focusing at. And then you can use this code to book a free trial session with me. You can just scan this QR code, or you can go on this particular website, app.preplace.in, and search for my name, and then you can book the trial session. uh, Let me know if there are any questions. I'll be happy to answer.
Just one question, Puneet. Vijay Singh has asked difference between slicer and filter.
Okay, so let me just go back. So this particular thing which we are making use of, this is slicer. Okay, this is how you slice the data, how end user slices the data basically. Okay, and this particular thing which we used, if you go to the filters, this is a filter where you are restricting all of your users on what they are looking at for a particular visual, where I did not want a not available option to come across, right? So irrespective of if I haven't selected anything, right, let's say, right, I'm not able to see any not available option. Let's go up. I'm only able to see the ratings, right? However, if I disable this filter, right, then I'm able to see the not available option. That means filter restricts your data for your end audience, irrespective of whatever slicers you are selecting. Whereas slicer gives you a flexibility on how to slice and dice the data for an individual use case. Any other question?
No, nothing, Puneet.
All right. In that case, I think we can conclude the session. It was really nice meeting you guys. I hope to see you again. You can book a one-on-one free trial session. That will be helpful, and from there we can decide, if you need a long-term mentorship or not, and if yes, then how long you will be needing. Those kind of questions will be answered. Um, all right.
Okay. Also, Madhvi has just raised her hand. So, Madhvi, if you have any question, you can ask in the chat. Else, we can end the meeting. Okay, no, nothing. Okay, all right then. Yeah, Puneet, I'll end the session. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining in. We'll be sharing the recording of the session and the PPT soon over email and on the website as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you all. Bye bye.